Hello there. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This is Chris from Cinema Trailer News, and this will be my breakdown for Obi Wan Kenobi episode 6, the season finale. So my thoughts on the show overall. I think the show is good. It's not great, and for a property like Obi-Wan, that's what I was hoping for. Now, I think that what really hurts this show is the writing and the 6 episode format of Disney Plus. It's not enough time to develop this character very well, and it doesn't help with the story also they are telling here. But I think the show has some really great moments. Even in those episodes that wasn't good, there still has some really good moments in it. I particularly like Reva and Iman's Monger's performance. I think she did a really great job with the character. I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. He continues to be excellent in that role. And I also love those moments that we have with Vader. I think those moments were epic. But I think the show should have focused more on Obi-Wan and Vader. And maybe we'll get another season, and I hope that one is very, very great. So let's get into the breakdown. Now we open up on Tatooine, and 2 Jawas as well as a blue astromech droid. That's the same unit R5 who will later get a boss motivator. And the planet motivators are actually pop up again when we discover that the ship is struggling. Here we see Mustang dealers selling water in the street, and Reva ends up intervening on a guy who's just a bit of a jerk. Now this actually hints that she's turning back to the light as someone of showing compassion to the locals by helping them out. Cut to the devastated chasing the porters and ship, which we learn is heading to Tessin. I don't believe this planet is featured in the saga before. Vader is so fixated on Obi-Wan that he realizes he'll leave the others alone if he means he gets him, and thus he ends up drawing him out to a deserted planet. The chase feels a lot more exciting than the one from Last Jedi. This episode is very much about Obi-Wan himself intervening in order to protect people, and he really lays his life on the line. We see that Obi-Wan also gives Leia his holster, and it's possible that this is the same one she ended up wearing in Return of the Jedi. This also pops up in The Princess of Leia, Age of Rebellion. We cut to Luke and Owen, and he learns there about Reva, and we see that Beru is played once more by Bonnie Pierce, who also played the character in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan tries to reach out to Qui-Gon, but he doesn't get a response. However, come to the end of the entry, he finally reconnects. Now the Grand Inquisitor really wants Vader to focus on the petition, but as we discovered last week, Vader is often blinded by the thought of victory. Vader decides to face him alone. Now he flies in the shadow of the same transport that we saw him riding at the end of Empire Strikes Back and the start of Return of the Jedi. And Obi-Wan comes face to face, but he refuses to run away like he did in episode 3. Vader says, "Have you come to destroy me, everyone?" And he also says that then you will die, which is a line that the character said in Rebels. Similar to this, his mask also gets split later on, exposing some of his face and finally showing us Hayden in the suit. Throughout this, we can hear both Hayden and James on Jones doubling lines over each other, which was how his dialogue play out in Rebels. Obi-Wan ends up drawing his lightsaber and he up the stance that if we see him take as a response in his life with his blade up of his head while he extends his other arm. This has appeared a number of times throughout the franchise. Now the pair duke it out, great battle of them just going all out ace nicely, just opposing by the more saturated and stealthy scenes that are happening with Reva. Owen actually holds his own against her, and you can kind of see why Obi-Wan trusted him to raise the child. This is mirrored in Obi-Wan, who still holds back when fighting Vader, and this was of course seen in episode 3 and A New Hope, in which he sacrificed himself, and I think he does this because deep down he believes Anakin has been redeemed. And Dusty doesn't want to kill him and put his stop to the potential of this happening. Obi-Wan gets berries on the rocks and making them levitate is one of the first things that a Jedi learns. This show is the very base of reactions to him, and he ends up burying the character. He also calls him Master, which doesn't break canon as he refers to himself as one in A New Hope. Back to the farm, Reva badly busts up Owen and Beru, which makes Luke flee to the desert. He never actually sees the lightsaber in this episode. This keeps up the canon, as Obi-Wan has to explain it while one was in A New Hope. Later on, he gets knocked out, so he's unconscious when she drops it. And this was something that theories that they kind of had to do in order not to mess up with the canon and what will come. And now, under the rust, Obi-Wan hears lines from Anakin in the previous battle, and initially that this someone pushed him, fueling his anger. However, he ends up channeling thoughts of Luke and Leia, which empowers him to finally concentrate on the good and leave the rocks. He later builds up an array of these and he fires like bullets. Lots of flashes of the end of The Last Jedi here. This helps him overpower Vader, and he leaves him breathing heavily like he was wounded in Return of the Jedi. After his helmet is split, he ends up denying that he's Anakin. Obi-Wan apologizes for letting him down, but Vader says he killed Anakin. Now, as we leave the planet, he senses that Luke is in danger as we cut to Reva standing over him, about to strike him down. However, she very much sees herself in it, and he refuses to deal the killing blow once more. Obi-Wan's arrived, and he mentions the Dune Sea, a location that was brought in A New Hope. Reva returns with the boy alive, and turns out she's redeemed herself. She of course knows the secret of Luke, and some reason Obi-Wan decides to take a chance of letting her live after she drops her lightsaber, guessing she's gonna off and get her own spin-off show. In the leaks, they say that she was originally meant to be killed, but they do some rituals and things, and now she's fine. This idea of burying the lightsaber in the sand was very much seen as a way of shutting one's off from the Force. Obi-Wan took his lightsaber early in the season, and Rey, of course, did it for Luke and Leia at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. From here, we go to Mustafa, and we get a cameo by Ian McDonald, who is once more reprising his role as Palpatine. He questioned whether Vader's feelings are clear on the matter, and his potentially return to serving Obi-Wan. Him overthrowing Palpatine will be a big worry. This leads me into the next point, that Palpatine also think that he's driving to see if he knows about his kids. Vader was completely unaware that he had kids at this point, as Palpatine told him that they died along with Padme, was something that pushed him further down to the dark path he was on. But he did eventually learn that Luke was his son after the events of A New Hope. In the comics, we discovered that Vader was extremely curious about who blew up the battle station, and he hired Boba Fett and Cassandra to carry out jobs for him. Fett was tasked with discovering the identity of the pilot, and after he told him the name, Darth put two and two together and figured it all out. This shows keep the info separated from him, and he also hides the fact that Leia is his child too. We cut to his home and see Adora. She gets herself ready, and this shows her independence, and she knows who she wants to lead from now on. And as we saw in the sequel trilogy, she did become a fearless leader. Obi-Wan says he will help the Organos if they need it. And this will of course be why Leia reaches out to him. Really nice goodbye between Leia and Obi-Wan. Now Obi-Wan brings out her parents and says she carried out the best quality of both Anakin and Padme. It's nice that they acknowledge there was good in him, and this will of course lead to his path to his redemption. Back home, Obi-Wan ends up donning his white robes that he had in the original and prequel trilogy. Later on, he puts his coat over this, and this actually what he wear in Star Wars issue 15, which was centered around his adventure in Tatooine. He ends up allowing Luke to grow up as a normal boy, and he implies that Owen has become a powerful mentor at this point. Luke is given the T-16 toy, which Owen of course ended up breaking in episode 1. Obi-Wan also drops a hello there. Out in the desert, the ghost of Qui-Gon begins to form, and I like he's just kind of moseying about. Now Qui-Gon is attached to the living force, and this is how he was able to come back and communicate with the Jedi. He says he was always been there, but Obi-Wan just wasn't ready to see, and he will help him further train him to master his ability and become a ghost like he did. Obi-Wan rides off on the back of his speed as the twin senses of Tatooine. And that's my breakdown for episode 6, the season finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So what do you think of the season finale? I think it was a solid episode, a really good season finale for the episode, for the series overall. So if you like this video, hit the like button, consider subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, and like always, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.